It is surprising to see how many business owners who also own that commercial property that they're doing the business from have to sell quickly. The main reason being health issues or partnership disputes or some urgent thing they have to attend to where they don't want to be in the business for long anymore. They're taking too much of their time, other more important issues to deal with. It's a bit of a shame because some of these businesses have been around for 10, 20, 30 years, doing pretty well generally, and all of a sudden they haven't, they're in a situation where they haven't planned properly and they need to sell. And also in that situation, many have got some preconceived price in their head of how much the business is worth, and they will not sell for less than that amount of money. For example, they might say its business is worth $1 million, maybe only worth $500,000. So in order to get the price they want, they normally have to change the price of the rental. Of course, most of them are reluctant to sell their property at the same time. It's normally a better situation to sell both the business and the property at the same time, but it's obviously very hard to find a good buyer, the ideal buyer who wants to go in that business and wants to own the property as well, because obviously the property adds a lot more to the business value. So what happens? As I mentioned, they've got an idea of what their business is worth, and they have to compromise on the rental. I've seen a situation where the rental has been half, or they've given leases for half the market value in order to get the price they want for the business. And business owners aren't stupid. They work things out. They can see a bargain. Even if the business is not worth that much, they may lose $500,000 on the business, but they may gain $1 million plus on the sale of the property down the track. I've had a situation, it's actually happened. Other videos, I go for some stories of people that had to sell quickly and found out that their property value has diminished considerably because the return on investment is not the normal 5%, whatever it may be. And they've sold at returns of, say, much less than that and suffered accordingly. And the person who's bought it ended up selling that property when they were able to increase the rents to a market value and get the true value for that property. Another situation, a restaurant sold, they looking at selling their restaurant only, they own the property. I recommended that they sell both together. If they could, try that first. They had an idea what their business is worth and the value they place in the business, or estimate they put on at least 40 above market value. For example, I'll give you some rough figures. Say the business was, say, $400,000, $500,000. They wanted to sell it for much more. So what they did, I recommended to them that they sell both together. Try that initially, because the properties would quite a bit of money. They decided they would want to sell the business only, and they decided to give it to someone else. And what happened? One of the owners became very sick. They wanted to leave the country, and they had to sell quickly. So they ended up selling the business for half of what it was worth for a quick sale, and to maintain the property at the rental, what they thought fair market rental. What happened? The first person that came along wasn't very experienced, offered to pay the rent, negotiated a sale price, which was about half the market value. And what happened? The people stopped the business, just moved overseas where they wanted to go, and the property was in the hands of the new tenant. Business went downhill quickly. They went first. People started to notice business fell considerably. They were starting to get behind their rent. I had to negotiate payment with them for the rental, which wasn't being paid. It was a bit of a mess. Then they called me and they said, look, listen, we want to sell the property now. They knew that restaurant was very successful beforehand with the previous owner, and they knew that the current owner could not handle the type of business it was. They knew that sales was dropping off. They knew they were probably going to have problems getting rent. And they were right. We had problems selling the building because we didn't have the right tenants there. It was only a matter of time before they collapsed. I recommended we go in there and negotiate a deal to get them out. that there was a price. We worked at a price to get out of the business. So if we found a buyer for the property, we would pay them that amount of money to get out. Negotiated a price which was a fraction of what they paid for the business. They're happy to be in a situation where they can get out of their lease. Eventually, we found a buyer for a good price, the true market value, and sold the property. And those tenants vacated and it was vacant possession. Doesn't happen all the time. Like I said, I had situations where people got out, they wanted to lease the property, and the balancing act. Do you want more for the business, less for the property rental, high rental, less for the business? You've got to be reasonable. You've got to be market value. You win on one side, you gain the other. So when you get a situation where you're lucky enough to own the property as well as the business, work with someone who understands the situation. Know your market value. Negotiate the right rental. Make sure you're selling at the right price. Find the happy medium. Maybe you may have to lose $100,000 or $200,000 on the sale of the business, but you're more than gain from selling the property down the track. And if a situation where you plan properly, where you want to retire, you sell the business at the right price, take the time to find the right tenant or the right new owner of the business who will be your tenant and give you a nice income for life, your retirement package. That's the way for business property owners. Plan properly, work with someone who understands the situation, who understands the value of businesses, understands the value of property, understands demand for rental, and to negotiate the right rental situation to ensure that the buyer is happy and you as the landlord is happy as well, and you keep on getting many happy returns for many years afterward. Like the comment, like channel, this Tastzids for CC property.